My name's Ed Madison. I'm an assistant professor at the University of Oregon in the field of journalism. And a lot of my research has to do with the intersection of media, education, and technology. Probably no mistake that, that my research looks at those areas. My dad was a distinguished journalist, and my mom a teacher. And so I kind of grew up with media around my household. And after spending about 30 years working in the profession for CNN and CBS and organizations like that, I gave thought to returning to academia and went on to pursue my doctoral degree at University of Oregon. And that's when I had the good fortune to meet Esther Wojcicki, who leads the Scholastic Journalism program at Palo Alto High School. And what's unique about that program is it's, by all notions, the largest program of its kind in the country. Some 500 students out of 1,800 pursuing some aspect of journalism or media arts. And I had the good fortune to meet Esther and some of her students at a conference at Stanford about 5 years ago, and I was immediately taken by how impressive these students were. Now, of course, Palo Alto High is across the street from Stanford. It's in one of the most affluent zip codes in the nation, and so one might expect that these kids would be bright. But they were more than just bright. There was an authentic sense of curiosity and interest in the world, and I walked away from that conference wondering, why can't all of our kids be exposed to that level of education? So I spent 2 years studying that program, and what I observed was quite fascinating to me. What they've accomplished there is they've created a climate and a culture where journalism is kind of the cool thing that students want to be a part of. They have some 7 or 8 different publications that are all student-run, including 2 or 3 magazines, a newspaper, an online news presence, a 3-camera newscast, all run by students. And when you walk into a classroom there, what you're liable to see is the teacher sitting in the back of the room and a team of students at the front of the room actually leading the instruction. And for many of us as educators, it kind of questions that notion of authority and who's in charge. But really, the philosophy that they prescribe there is got to do with really sharing curricular power in the classroom situation. The more I studied the program, the more I started to realize some of the specific attributes that are available there, and particularly how they can make a difference in how we teach English language arts and how we teach students at the secondary level. The new Common Core state standards are, while controversial in some states, what they really are asking is that by the 12th grade that English language arts teachers commit about 70% of the text, so the reading and writing assignments, to nonfiction as opposed to fiction. Now, that's quite an imbalance for many English teachers who got into becoming English teachers because they like literature. And so many of them don't know what to do with that. However, journalism as a resource is a perfect complement to meeting that goal. The distinct difference that occurs is that when a student is writing an assignment and turning something in, rather than just turning it into one person, the teacher, the sense that it's being published and that there's an audience of their peers and of their community that are going to read it has those students bring another higher level of commitment to the work that they're doing. So that's a fundamental difference. Also, you've got students in situations where they're dealing with domestic issues at home, or just the pure concerns that all people engage with or have to deal with when they are growing up and going through puberty and things like that. And so writing about subjects that are relevant to their own experience also provides this kind of cathartic outlet that many students don't have if they don't have therapy as an option, or it's just not part of their cultural experience. So when you combine those two aspects, and also the fact that journalism is, it's really about discovery, it's about asking questions, it's often about asking, or rather speaking truth to power, questioning the things that many people don't find a way to address in their community or in their society. It really starts to empower students to realize that they have a voice and that their voice matters. And that in and of itself really is transformational for many young people. Also, when you look at what's happening at Palo Alto High School and why that's an interesting sort of microcosm of how we look at other schools in other communities, is that even though that is a very affluent school in a very affluent community, just across the freeway in East Palo Alto, the students there had a high school. So that's a community where it's predominantly young people, students of color. And they had a high school there that was closed in the 70s called Ravenswood. And those kids now get bused to Palo Alto High and other schools in other zip codes. And what they found at Palo Alto was that many of those kids, when they would come to school, is that they were not engaging or getting involved in the journalism program. They just sort of saw it as something that wasn't for them, for various reasons that they articulated when I spoke with them. And that was discouraging to the instructors, the journalism instructors, because they want to have a community that's inclusive and inviting. And so what they ended up doing was starting a summer program at the Boys and Girls Club in East Palo Alto for those kids, so that they could get a taste of journalism in the hopes that they would want to stick with it when they came back to school in the fall at the main school building. And anecdotally, it's worked out quite well. More importantly, what it's done is it's allowed those students to understand and be proud of the fact that there is news in their community that's not just oriented around crime and negativity. Those students intern at a small community newspaper called East Palo Alto Today that many of them didn't even know existed prior to this experience. And while the newsroom is not, full of bright and shiny new computers, there's still a sense of pride that they take in owning the knowledge, if you will, that's produced in their own community. So these are the kinds of subjects that I study, and as I look forward, I'm very curious about how we rethink, or how rather we reimagine language arts, and how we honor the knowledge that students bring into the classroom, and how we encourage and really empower students to take ownership of their own education.